Welcome to Jets Game Day with Robert Saleh, presented by Audi. Here's your host, Eric Allen.
Brees Hall, the eye back, takes another handoff, runs left, finds some room, gets free, down the sideline goes Brees Hall, inside the 30, inside the 20, breaks a tackle, 10, 5, touchdown! That's an icing on the cake, Jet touchdown for Brees Hall. Snow Angels in the offensive end zone for the Jets as they put this one away.
Welcome to the final Jets Game Day of the 2023 season. It has been a blast all year. We're going to end with some fireworks right now with Nick Mangold and Bart Scott. Nick, tough season for the Jets. They finished 7-10 for the second consecutive campaign, but they certainly had a lot of fun in the snow in New England on Sunday.
Yeah, it was, and it was a good way to start 2024 after having lost to Bill Belichick and the Patriots 15 times in a row. To get that stink out of the mouth to start the new year, I think is a good thing.
Bart, you can't carry things over in terms of, okay, we're going to be riding that momentum here 8 months later. But with that being said, that streak's over. They don't have to worry about it now.
Yeah, absolutely, and maybe it's the last that you've seen of Bill Belichick, and if you can leave him with a sour taste in his mouth, that's music to the ears of every Jets fan.
Let's go inside the numbers presented by the New York Lottery one final time. We're going to start with number one. Bart, this Jets defense, number one in the National Football League in terms of yards per play, 4.57.
I mean, it's a testament, right, because we understood that it was heavy lifting, a lot of heavy lifting going on when you're on the field. A lot of times when you have turnovers and 3-and-outs, they lived up to their standard, and that's something that you can't carry when you're talking about building a defensive culture around here and for your organization.
Nick, let's talk some offense, though. How about our second number is number two? Only Tyreek Hill had more combined yards this year in the AFC than Brees Hall. He had 1,585 scrimmage yards coming off an ACL tear.
That's huge, and I think that just shows what kind of a playmaker he is. And so to have the opportunity with Aaron coming back and have this kind of a weapon with some of the other weapons on the outside is going to be a good push for this offense.
Bart, you've been saying for a while you think 2,000 is the floor for him next year.
No, absolutely. I think the offense should run through Brees Hall and let everybody else compliment him because he's a guy that when he gets his hand on the ball, he can make things happen and open things up for everybody else. And when they decide to put that eighth man in the box, then that's when you eat on the outside.
Bart, our third number, though, is 13. The Jets played 13 different offensive linemen in 2023. That has to change.
Yeah, that's not a recipe for success. And I know Joe Douglas has been committed to rebuilding this offensive line. It just hasn't worked out. It's not because they haven't tried. They've spent a lot of draft equity, brought in high-end free agents. They have to find a way to figure out how to keep these guys healthy because if you look at the teams that are successful, they've had continuity at the offensive line position. Nick Mangold can tell you how important that is, being able to understand the verbal and nonverbal communication.
We've had continuity here all season long. Here's Caroline Hendershot and Ethan Greenberg. One final time, what's brewing?
It's time for What's Brewing, presented by Dunkin'. The Jets run on Dunkin'.
Ethan, the 2023 season has officially wrapped, but it's never too early to look ahead to the 2024 season.
So let's take a look at who the Jets play in 2024. The teams from the AFC South, the NFC West, the Steelers and Vikings based on league standings.
The Jets will play 8 games at home, 9 games on the road, and they'll play 6 playoff teams, which is the same number as 2023. So another tough schedule for them.
Indeed. And for the Jets, they obviously play the AFC East last year, every year. But the only 2 teams that are on the schedule, not in the division, that they played last season and this upcoming season are the Texans and Broncos, but this year the Broncos are coming east.
And the Jets will go to Arizona and San Francisco, something they haven't done since 2016.
So we know the opponents. We don't know the schedule yet. That comes out in the spring. You know what else comes out in the spring?
What?
The draft.
Of course, and the Jets have 5 picks right now, starting with the 10th overall.
And the Jets have used that pick 3 times in team history. 1 in '84, Russell Carter. 2, Al Toon in '85, Ring of Honor player for the green and white. And then in 2022, I think all Jets fans are a fan of this guy. That's Garrett Wilson.
Oh, of course, one of our favorites. And some other notable players that have been picked there, including Hall of Famers Jerome Bettis and Rod Woodson.
And Joe Douglas right now has 5 picks to work with. 1 in the first round, 1 in the third round, 2 in the fourth, and lastly, 1 in the sixth.
Now, that number could change with some more compensatory selections that come later this offseason.
I'm excited to see what Joe Douglas and the boys have cooking.
Cheers to the offseason.
Coming up, Eric Allen sits down for a final time this season with head coach Robert Saleh.
Jets Game Day with Robert Saleh is presented by Audi. Visit your tri-state Audi dealer to get behind the wheel of yours today, or visit AudiOffers.com for more information. Game Day with Robert Saleh is brought to you by Moody's, proud partner of the New York Jets.
Despite all that, there was a lot of adversity over the course of this entire season, but not one person in here flinched all year. I love the way we finished this season, all right? I love the way y'all fought every single week, no matter how bad it got, no matter how hard it got, everybody kept freaking fighting. Enjoy this one. Enjoy this one all season. We said we're going to start 2024 is going to be special. 2024 is going to be special. We said 1-0. We're 1-0. We're going to get a lot of wins this year. A lot of wins this year. This is the first one. Break it down, man.
Great job. Family on me. Family on 3. 1, 2, 3.
All right, Monday morning. You get here after the season wraps up with the win over the New England Patriots. What's the message to the guys in the room?
It's kind of a continuation of what we talked about last week. We wanted to start 2024 with a win. 2024 is going to be special. We're expecting to get a lot of wins in 2024. We're not expecting to be in the same position a year from now that we're in now. We expect to be in something better. So the message was that we're 1-0 in the year 2024, and the expectation is that we work our tails off and we work with the same deliberate mindset that we attacked last offseason with. And when the time comes to put ourselves in position to go 2-0, we're prepared to do it.
How are you going to use that adversity that you face in 2023 as a positive in 2024?
There's a lot of positives in these situations. You can either mope and complain about what happened, or you can try to find the silver linings that you can build and grow off of. And a lot of young guys got way more reps than we anticipated, and because of it, we feel like we've got some guys that we can build off of. When you look at guys like Xavier Gibson and Jason Brownlee and Carter Warren, Joe Tippmann had a wonderful year. Ruckert took a big step. Even Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall, just second-year kids, took a big step. So there was a lot of growth in guys who are going to be the foundation of this football team. And then defensively, we played a lot of really, really good quarterbacks, and defensively we held our own. For the most part, played very well against those quarterbacks, finished top 5 in most categories. So again, the defense, while statistically may not look as good as last year, I feel like was every bit as good as last year, if not better. We feel confident about the championship team that we put together on that side of the ball, and special teams took a big step and did a lot of really good things. So there's a lot of really good positives, but at the same time, you can't turn a blind eye to all the things that we need to get corrected, and those are things that we're going to attack here in the offseason.
Can you talk about the demons that you guys got rid of here this season?
They're small things. Again, you're looking for a silver lining, right? We finished the season strong. Won 3 of our last 5, and offense got incrementally better with all the youth and a little bit of continuity on the offensive line. Trevor was 2-1 as a starter, which I thought was impressive by him. And obviously, there's still things that, like I said, we got to get better at. But if you're combing through, you can find a lot of positives.
Was it bittersweet watching Aaron out there the last few weeks handle the scout team? Because he's an elite quarterback, and you got to think about what might have been, but also it's got to make you think, hey, we got a great chance to do something special going forward.
He's a special talent, and I think that was good for everyone to watch and kind of reconnect to who he is and the type of player he is. And we had an unbelievable OTA in training camp, and then 4 plays in, he was gone. He's special, and it's a little bittersweet because you're watching, you're like, God, what could have been? A lot of us in our heart believe that we'd be preparing for a playoff spot right now, but we're not. And with that misfortune comes fuel, and I think he's going to be more driven than ever, along with the rest of our football team.
You think, and there is belief here at One Jets Drive, that you are much closer than what people may think on the outside?
I do think we are a lot closer. I mean, we're still the same group that we all thought would be primed for a championship on Monday, September 11th at about 8 o'clock when player introductions were being announced, but it didn't happen. There's many reasons why things don't happen the way we want them to happen, but at the same time, we acknowledge the things that we need to attack. When you look at the things that kind of opened our eyes through all the adversity, it gives us a lane, it gives us an inside track to try to get those things fixed and get those things rectified, get healthy, add some pieces, and from there, like I said, we got to go play, we got to go prove it.
We're sitting here in January, but how excited are you about the offseason ahead as far as the work your staff is going to be doing with Joe Douglas and his personnel?
Really excited, as always. The offseason's fun, and where you're you're going through scheme evaluation, you're making the adjustments that you need to make from a scheme standpoint, you're trying new things, you're adding new players, you're saying goodbye to great players. There's a lot of great things that happen in the NFL offseason. It's a good opportunity for all of us to just keep our feet in the ground and grind.
Lastly, are you going to be able to watch the postseason? And how will you view those games if you do take them in?
I'm sure I'll watch them. You know, I'll watch them as a fan. You know, I don't really look at it any differently than anything else. But knowing full well that we should be there and we will be there. But hopefully it's poolside somewhere warm.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
This exclusive interview with Robert Saleh was presented by Audi. Visit your tri-state Audi dealer to get behind the wheel of yours today, or visit AudiOffers.com for more information.
Coming up, a special sit-down with General Manager Joe Douglas. This exclusive interview with General Manager Joe Douglas is brought to you by your local Kia dealers. Visit kia.com to discover movement that inspires.
Joe, from your vantage point, how would you describe the 2023 New York Jets season?
Ultimately not good enough, you know. Proud of the way the guys competed. There's a lot of character on this team. These guys had a lot of opportunity to maybe not finish as strong as they did by winning three of the last 5 games, but they proved the type of character that's in this locker room. But ultimately, 7 wins isn't enough. You know, we have to be better.
How do you view it overall as far as you and Robert here in the 3-year stint where you guys totally reshaped that roster in 2021 and that continued to 2022, go from 4 wins to 7 wins, and then 7 wins again here in 2023, despite playing with a ton of different offensive line combinations and 4 different quarterbacks?
Yeah. You know, there's been a lot of adversity thrown at specifically the offensive side of the ball when it comes to injuries and changes in the depth chart. You don't want the adversity to define the season. You want the definition of the season to be us overcoming it. So probably one of the only guarantees you'll have is that there will be some sort of adversity in any season. So now we're going to be equipped to overcome it, and we're going to win games next year.
How can this group specifically grow from what happened in 2023 when you're talking about adversity?
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of young players were able to get valuable experience. You know, you talk about guys like Xavier Gibson and Jason Brownlee, Joe Tippmann, really had opportunities that they may not otherwise have because of injuries. And so a lot of those guys made the most of their opportunities. And so that experience that some of these offensive players had as young players is similar to some of the experience that our young defensive players had in Robert's first year.
What did you think about the defense's performance throughout the year? Because this was a group that often didn't play with the lead, but with that being said, they still put up very good numbers across the board.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing the job that Robert, Brick, our defensive staff did, and the players. I mean, these guys, their competitive nature, their will to win. You see it every snap. I mean, these guys battle. They play fast, they play tough, they play hard. They embody the heart, mind, fist mentality that Robert and Brick set forth.
What was your reaction to Quincy Williams being voted team MVP by the guys in the room?
That was exciting because you know how much effort that Quincy puts in, how much work, and to see all of that hard work and determination manifest itself this year in the year that he had, a Pro Bowl caliber year, all pro caliber year, in my opinion, being voted team MVP by his peers. Unbelievable, fantastic story.
Heading into the offseason, the young building blocks, Breece Hall. After an ACL tear, he goes for over 1,500 yards from scrimmage. How about Garrett Wilson, back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, 95 receptions, despite playing with 4 different quarterbacks?
Yeah. Those 2 guys are cornerstone players, and they showed it this year. Breece is a weapon, you know, not just as a running back. I think everyone saw what he could do out of the backfield as a receiver. And, you know, for Garrett, the level of consistency that he's had with a lot of different variables in play in terms of the person throwing him the football, for him to maintain that level of consistency and to produce at that high of an output for his first 2 years is remarkable. We're blessed to have those two guys.
You've always talked about the emphasis on both sides of the line of scrimmage. Can you speak to that specifically in regards to the offensive line this offseason?
We feel like we have a couple cornerstone guys in Joe Tippmann and AVT. So AVT is going to be coming back from his injury, and he's a difference maker when he's on the line of scrimmage. And so O-line's another position where we had young players get invaluable experience. Carter Warren, Max Mitchell had another year of experience. I mean, Xavier Newman, Jake Hansen coming in, guys that weren't even on our team in training camp coming in and really competing, and that experience that they had is only going to add to our team and our depth moving forward.
Can you speak to the confidence that you have in Robert Saleh and his coaching staff?
Those guys do a great job of developing players. It starts with their energy, their intent, and their teaching skill. You see that manifest itself every week, and I really appreciate our staff.
One thing that stood out to me while you're meeting with the media was the urgency that you're speaking with. You've made it clear to everybody in the building that we have to win.
There's nothing else that's important besides winning. I feel like everyone feels like the pieces are in place to have success. So now we just have to do it, and we have to do it consistently.
Are you excited about what's ahead as far as this offseason is concerned?
100%. We have a great opportunity in front of us. There's always urgency, there's always pressure, and so that doesn't change. I feel like us coming together, really going through our process, our decisions, knowing exactly what we have to do moving forward, I think that's going to galvanize us as a group.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, E.
Coming up, Bart and Nick discuss the Jets' offseason game plan.
Jets Game Day with Robert Saleh is brought to you by MetLife, the official insurance company of the New York Jets. This segment is presented by the official digital transformation partner of the New York Jets, HCL Tech, supercharging progress.
I'm sad to say this is our final segment of the 2023 season, but we're going to be here throughout the 2024 offseason. Speaking of the offseason, let's get to our game plans, and I got a special treat for Nick Mangold and Bart Scott. It's your turn to play general manager. Let's start on the offensive side of the ball. Aaron Rodgers is coming back. That's huge. What else must Joe Douglas get done in the offseason in terms of player acquisition?
So this one, I think, is glaringly obvious. It's offensive line. You need to figure out what you have, and do you need to add? Do you need to take away? It's going to be huge for Joe Douglas, who has prided himself on offensive line, to get this offensive line right. It's going to take a lot of study here in January and February of the injuries and what got us to that point where we're going through 13 different guys, because that's not going to be the way to win. You can have all the weapons in the world, but if you can't protect, it's not going to work. So the biggest one is figuring out the offensive line, and then after that, then you can start utilizing your different pieces. But the biggest thing is offensive line.
Bart, look at it globally. You're talking cash right now, but the defense, you got to do a little bit of tinkering, but you're right there.
Yeah.
Well, this thing's going to look completely different next year.
Yeah.
With Aaron Rodgers. There's no doubt about that. You got Garrett Wilson, back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. He had 95 receptions.
And he changed his number, right? So I think that 17's available.
Oh. But yes, Garrett Wilson going to be wearing number 5 next season. The second target, the Jets still have high hopes for Allen Lazard, and it'll be teaming up with his former quarterback in Aaron Rodgers.
He operates well as a number 3, right? And that's fine. And, they have to go out and they have to upgrade the position. I think everybody in this building would agree with that. The thing is, there's going to be a lot of guys out there, whether you talk about Calvin Ridley, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Mike Evans. I like being able to trade for one because you can't pay 2 receivers $20 million, right? So if Garrett Wilson's going to be on the docket in a couple of years where he has to have his contract addressed, you have to bring a guy that's going to have an expiring contract. That's why the natural thing is Devontae Adams, who has 2 years left on his deal. Me and Nick understand we got a little cheese on our taco while we play. We understand it's the redistribution of funds, and you can't pay everybody, especially in one position.
Do you eat the tacos in the winter?
Oh, I love tacos. Taco Tuesday?
Taco Tuesday. It's been a fun 2023 season. We hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for tuning in. We will check back with you soon here in 2024.